The stars had always belonged to the hunters. For 10,000 years, they had ruled the galaxy with titanium fists and plasma cannons, collecting species like trophies and worlds like precious gems. They were tall, muscular beings with gray skin and eyes that glowed like dying suns. Their very name made entire civilizations tremble. Tom Anderson stared at the burning ruins of New York through the cracked window of an underground bunker. He was just a simple engineer before the hunters came, but now he represented humanity's last hope. The hunters had appeared in Earth's orbit 3 months ago, their massive ships blocking out the sun like artificial clouds of death. "They never expected us to fight back," Tom muttered, his fingers running over the strange device on the workbench. It was a hybrid of human ingenuity and stolen hunter technology, a weapon that could turn their own energy shields against them. The hunters had made one critical mistake: they had assumed humans were like all the other species they had conquered. Peaceful. Diplomatic. Willing to surrender. But humanity had something the others didn't: thousands of years of warfare encoded in their DNA, countless stories of resistance against overwhelming odds, and most importantly, an unstoppable drive to survive. In their arrogance, the hunters had become lazy. They relied too heavily on their advanced technology, never bothering to update their defenses because no species had ever challenged them. They didn't count on human hackers breaking into their systems, human scientists reverse engineering their weapons, or human soldiers willing to die for a chance at victory. Tom looked at the small team gathered around him. Mike, the ex-military weapons specialist whose scars told stories of battles both on Earth and in space. Linda, the quantum physicist whose brilliant mind had decoded the hunter's shield frequency. And Robert, the former NASA pilot who had learned to fly hunter ships better than the hunters themselves. "The other resistance cells are ready," Linda said, her voice steady despite the distant sound of hunter weapons reducing another city to ashes. "They're waiting for our signal." Tom nodded, remembering how it all started. The hunters had demanded Earth's surrender, expecting humans to bow down like every other species. Instead, they got a nuclear welcome package that destroyed 3 of their ships. The hunters responded with overwhelming force, but that only proved what humanity had suspected: these so-called invincible conquerors could bleed. "We may not survive this," Tom said, looking at each member of his team. "But today, we show the galaxy that humanity doesn't kneel. Today, we show them why picking a fight with Earth was the biggest mistake the hunters ever made." The device on the workbench hummed to life, its core glowing with a mixture of human determination and hunter technology. In bunkers and hideouts across the globe, similar devices waited for activation. The hunters thought they were simply crushing another primitive species. They didn't realize they were about to face humanity's greatest talent, turning an enemy's strength into their greatest weakness. The war for Earth was about to enter its final phase, and the hunters were about to learn why humans were different from every other species they had encountered. Because while the hunters had spent millennia hunting the stars, humans had spent millennia hunting each other, and they had gotten very, very good at it. Tom picked up the device, its weight a reminder of everything at stake. "Send the signal," he ordered. "It's time to go hunting." The night sky above Earth blazed with unprecedented fury as humanity launched its first coordinated attack against the hunters. Tom's device, along with hundreds of others worldwide, sent out electromagnetic pulses that matched the exact frequency of the hunters' shield technology. The result was spectacular. "Look at that," Mike whispered, watching through military binoculars as the nearest hunter ship's shields began to flicker and twist. The alien energy fields didn't just fail, they imploded, turning the hunter's greatest defense into a devastating weapon. The massive ship's own shield collapsed inward, crushing its hull like a giant fist. Linda's calculations had been perfect. The quantum frequency match created a feedback loop in the hunter's shield generators, something their engineers had never considered possible. Their arrogance in never updating their defensive systems had finally caught up with them. Multiple impacts confirmed worldwide, Robert reported, monitoring the global resistance network through a modified hunter communication device. Tokyo, London, Moscow, and Beijing cells all reporting successful shield breaches. The hunters are dropping like rocks. But the aliens weren't going down without a fight. The sky filled with hunter fighters, smaller ships that relied less on shield technology and more on maneuverability. They screamed through the air like angry wasps, their plasma weapons turning the ground below into glass. Second phase, Tom ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. Around the world, humanity's carefully planned counterattack moved forward. The hunters had spent months hunting humans, but they never realized they were also being hunted, studied, analyzed, their weaknesses catalogued by desperate people who had nothing left to lose. The Resistance launched their stolen hunter fighters, piloted by Earth's best pilots who had trained in simulators built from captured hunter technology. Robert led the first wave, demonstrating why humans had mastered aerial combat over centuries of warfare. The hunter pilots, used to fighting terrified, inexperienced prey, found themselves outmaneuvered by pilots who had learned to fight in Earth's challenging atmosphere. Their formations are breaking, Mike reported with grim satisfaction. They've never had to fight an enemy that could actually fight back. They don't know what to do. Underground bunkers across Earth launched salvos of modified missiles, hunter plasma weapons combined with human guidance systems. The hunters' remaining ships found their own technology being used against them with a precision they had never imagined possible from a primitive species. But victory came at a terrible cost. The hunters, realizing they were losing their grip on Earth, became desperate. They launched everything they had, turning entire cities into infernos. The Resistance lost countless brave fighters, each death adding fuel to humanity's determination to drive the invaders from their world. "We've lost contact with the Sydney cell," Linda reported, her face illuminated by the burning sky. "They took out 3 hunter ships before." She didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone knew the risks when they joined the Resistance. Tom watched as another hunter ship crashed into the Atlantic, its shields turned into its executioner. The water barely had time to settle before 2 more followed it into the deep. Humanity had sacrificed everything to prepare for this moment, and they were making every shot count. "Multiple hunter ships are attempting to retreat to orbit," Robert called out. "They're running." For the first time in 10,000 years, the mighty hunters were fleeing from their prey. But Tom knew this was just the beginning. The hunters would return with reinforcements, with new strategies, with vengeance in their glowing eyes. Yet something had changed in the galaxy. The unbeatable hunters had been beaten, their invincible technology turned against them by a species they had dismissed as primitive. "Send word to all surviving cells," Tom ordered, watching the remaining hunter ships burn through the atmosphere in their escape. "Phase 1 is complete. Begin preparing for Phase 2. The hunters thought they could break humanity's spirit. Instead, they've just given us a reason to take the fight to the stars." 3 weeks after humanity's first victory, the Resistance had transformed captured hunter bases into launch sites for their next phase. Tom stood in what used to be a hunter command center, now repurposed with a mixture of alien and human technology. The screens showed hundreds of captured hunter ships being modified by engineers worldwide. "The Hunters database is a goldmine," Linda announced, her fingers dancing across the alien console. "They've kept detailed records of every species they've conquered. Every world they've taken. And most importantly, every species that still resists them." Mike walked in, carrying a piece of hunter armor that had been modified to fit human bodies. "Our scientists have finished analyzing their metal alloys. We can mass-produce these now. Lighter, stronger, and with our own improvements." The hunters had made another critical mistake during their retreat. They had abandoned their ground bases in their rush to escape Earth's atmosphere. In their 10,000 years of conquest, no species had ever forced them to retreat. They had no protocols for protecting their technology during a withdrawal. Robert's team has decoded their star maps, Tom said, pulling up a holographic display of the galaxy. Red dots marked Hunter-controlled worlds, while blue dots showed their remaining fleet positions. But this is the most interesting part. He pointed to scattered green dots. These are the worlds where other species are still fighting. The discovery had changed everything. Humanity wasn't alone in its resistance. Across the galaxy, other species had been waging their own desperate battles against the Hunters. They had survived through hiding, through guerrilla warfare, through sheer determination. All they needed was hope, and humanity was about to deliver it. First wave of volunteers is ready, Robert reported, entering the command center in his modified Hunter flight suit. We've got crews trained on Hunter ship operations, combat teams equipped with hybrid weapons, and enough captured ships to begin our first offensive. The plan was audacious, but it played to humanity's strengths. Small, fast-moving teams would strike Hunter installations across nearby star systems, freeing enslaved species and gathering allies. Each victory would provide more resources, more technology, and more fighters to the cause. We've also cracked their communication network, Linda added, bringing up another display. The Hunters are in chaos. In 10,000 years, they've never had to deal with an organized rebellion. Their entire command structure is based on giving orders, not responding to threats. Tom studied the tactical display. The Hunters had pulled back to regroup, gathering their forces for what they thought would be a final, overwhelming strike against Earth. They didn't realize that humanity had no intention of waiting for them to return. The first teams launch in 2 hours, Robert said. We're calling it Operation Prometheus, bringing fire to the galaxy. He managed a grim smile. The Hunters thought they were gods among the stars. Time to show them what happens to gods when they bleed. Linda's console beeped with an incoming transmission. We're receiving signals from 3 different resistance groups on other worlds, she reported, her eyes widening. They've seen the Hunter fleet retreating. They're asking if the rumors are true, if someone has finally beaten them. Send them our response, Tom ordered. Tell them humanity is coming. Tell them we bring weapons, tactics, and most importantly, hope. The Hunters spent millennia turning the galaxy into their hunting ground. They never considered that they were creating the perfect battlefield for a species that has turned warfare into an art form. Through the reinforced windows, Tom could see the captured Hunter ships being prepared for launch. Their sleek hulls now bore the symbols of human resistance alongside marks from dozens of Earth's nations. Humanity had united against the common enemy, turning their long history of warfare into a strength the Hunters couldn't match. The Hunters thought they were the apex predators of the galaxy, Tom said, watching the first ships power up their engines. Time to show them what real Hunters can do. Humanity isn't just fighting for Earth anymore, we're fighting for every species that has ever suffered under their rule. And we're not stopping until the Hunters become the hunted. Part 4, First Blood in Space. The battle for the Centauri system marked humanity's first major offensive beyond Earth. Tom watched from the bridge of the renamed Hunter ship, now called Freedom, as the human fleet dropped out of light speed. 40 ships, crewed by Earth's finest, against a Hunter supply base that served as a staging ground for their conquests. Hunter defense grid detecting us, Linda reported from her station. She had insisted on joining the first strike force, her knowledge of Hunter technology proving invaluable. They're confused. Their sensors show Hunter ships, but the movement patterns are all wrong. Robert's voice came through the command channel as he led the fighter squadron. They're launching their response fleet. Just as we predicted, standard Hunter attack formation. They haven't learned anything from Earth. The Hunter ships moved in their usual arrow pattern, a formation that had terrorized countless alien civilizations. But humanity had studied their tactics, found their weaknesses, and prepared countermeasures. All ships, execute Battle Plan Thunder, Tom ordered. The human fleet broke apart in what would have looked like chaos to the hunters. 10,000 years of fighting weaker enemies had made them forget a crucial lesson: patterns become predictable, and predictability gets you killed. First wave, engage. Mike commanded from his weapons station. The human ships darted between the hunter formation, breaking their perfect lines. The hunters had never faced enemies who would willingly fly so close, who understood that the safest place to be was inside their firing solutions. Space lit up with energy weapons and modified missiles. The hunters tried to adjust their formation, but centuries of space combat simulations and video games had prepared human pilots for this moment. Every trick, every maneuver, every crazy idea that gamers had ever tried was now being used in real combat. "Their command ship is falling back," Linda reported with satisfaction. "They're trying to call for reinforcements, but our jamming systems are working. They're alone." The battle moved into its second phase. Human ships launched salvos of the same shield-breaking weapons that had driven the hunters from Earth. The enemy vessels, still using the same defensive technology, suffered the same fate. Their shields collapsed inward, crushing their mighty ships into twisted metal coffins. "We've got a breakthrough." Robert's squadron had punched through the hunters' lines, heading straight for the supply base. Beginning attack run on their main reactor. Tom watched as Robert's fighters demonstrated why Earth's combat pilots were now the deadliest in the galaxy. They flew through the base's defensive fire like they were dancing, each movement precise, each shot carefully placed. The hunters had never seen anything like it. "Base defenses are down," Linda called out. "Wait, we're picking up transmissions from inside. It's not just hunters in there. They're using slave labor from captured species." This changed everything. Tom quickly modified the attack plan. All ships, switch to precision strikes. Robert, target only military installations. "We're not just here to destroy, we're here to liberate." The battle shifted from destruction to surgical strikes. Human gunners, trained on first-person shooter games and military simulators, showed an accuracy that stunned the hunters. One by one, the defensive positions fell while the residential areas remained untouched. "Hunter forces are surrendering," Mike announced, his voice filled with disbelief. This has never happened before. The hunters don't surrender. They don't even have protocols for it." The victory was total. The supply base, key to hunter operations in 3-star systems, now flew humanity's flag. But more importantly, they had freed over 1,000 slaves from different species. Each one a potential ally, each with their own knowledge of hunter operations and weaknesses. "Send word back to Earth," Tom ordered. "First objective secured. And tell them to prepare for refugees. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity doesn't just fight the hunters, we protect those who can't fight for themselves." As the former slaves were evacuated to the human ships, Tom saw something in their eyes he recognized: hope. The same hope that had kept humanity fighting on Earth. The hunters had spent millennia creating an empire of fear. They never understood that fear could unite their victims, and that unity, led by humanity's fighting spirit, would be their downfall. 1 month after the Centauri victory, Earth's orbital shipyards were busy with activity. Tom stood in the new Alliance Command Center, watching as ships from 6 different alien species arrived for training and modification. The former hunter supply base had yielded more than just freed slaves, it had given humanity powerful allies. "The Blue Star people are amazing engineers," Linda said, pointing to the holographic display of a modified hunter ship. "They've found ways to improve the engine efficiency by 40%. They've been maintaining hunter ships as slaves for centuries, they know every weakness in the design." Mike entered the command center with one of their new allies, a tall green-skinned warrior named Kex from a heavy-gravity world. "The Rock Warriors have been fighting the hunters in their caves for generations," Mike reported. "They've got guerrilla tactics that even our special forces are impressed by. The alliance was growing stronger each day. Every species brought their own skills, their own knowledge, their own burning desire for revenge against the hunters. Humanity provided the leadership, the combat experience, and most importantly, the proof that the hunters could be beaten. "We've decoded more hunter databases," Robert announced, joining them at the tactical display. "We've found something big. The hunters have a main fleet gathering point, a place they call the Grand Harbor. It's where they build their largest ships." The hologram shifted to show a massive space station orbiting a red giant star. The station was the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons and surrounded by hunter warships. It should have been an intimidating sight, but Tom saw only opportunities. "Their arrogance is still their weakness," Linda noted, analyzing the station's defenses. "They're still using the same shield technology. They never believed anyone would dare attack their home base, so they never upgraded it." The freed races had brought more than just technical skills and tactical knowledge. They brought information, centuries of observation, detailed knowledge of hunter movements and protocols, and most importantly, the locations of other resistance groups. "Our stealth teams have made contact with 3 more rebel groups," Tom said, marking new green dots on the galactic map. "The bird people in the Orion sector, the water dwellers in the Perseus Arm, and the crystal mines in the Outer Rim. All of them want to join the fight." Humanity's approach to warfare had shocked their new allies at first. Where the hunters relied on brute force and fear, humans used strategy, deception, and precise strikes. Each victory brought more allies, more resources, and more ways to hurt the hunters. "New intel from the crystal mines," Linda reported, her eyes scanning the incoming data. "They've been watching hunter communications. The hunters are calling an emergency council for the first time in 5,000 years. They're scared." Mike grinned at this news. "They should be. We've destroyed 12 of their major bases in the last month. Freed thousands of slaves. Captured hundreds of their ships. And we're just getting started." The tactical display updated with new information from their growing network of allies. Hunter forces were pulling back from their outer territories, consolidating around their core worlds. They were preparing for a massive counterattack, but in doing so, they were leaving more systems undefended. "Time to launch Phase 3, Tom announced. "The hunters think they can gather their forces and crush us with one massive blow. Instead, they're giving us exactly what we want, all our enemies in one place." The command center buzzed with activity as the new battle plan was distributed to their allies. Human ingenuity, combined with the specialized knowledge of 6 different species, had created something the galaxy had never seen before, a force that could match the hunters' power while exceeding their tactical flexibility. "The hunters spent 10,000 years teaching the galaxy to fear them," Tom said, watching as more allied ships arrived in Earth's orbit. "Now we're teaching the galaxy something new, how to fight back. And when we're done, the great hunters will learn what it means to be the ones living in fear." The largest fleet ever assembled by free species gathered at the edge of hunter space. 5,000 ships, crewed by members of 20 different races, all united under humanity's leadership. Tom stood on the bridge of the flagship, Earth's Victory, watching as the final battle groups moved into position. "Last report from our spies," Linda said, her voice tense with excitement. "The hunters have gathered 90% of their remaining fleet at the Grand Harbor. They're preparing for what they think will be their final push to crush us." Mike checked the weapons readouts one last time. Every ship in the Allied fleet had been upgraded with a mixture of technologies from all the freed races. The Blue Star people's enhanced engines, the Crystal Mine's improved targeting systems, and humanity's shield-breaking weapons had created warships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "The Rock Warriors' tunneling teams are in position," Robert reported from his fighter command station. "They've spent the last month planting surprises throughout the Grand Harbor's maintenance tunnels. The hunters never thought anyone could survive their security systems, but they never met creatures who spent their lives fighting in caves. Tom looked at the tactical display showing their battle plan. It was the biggest gamble in human history, striking directly at the heart of the Hunters' power. But like all their previous victories, it relied on the Hunters' greatest weakness, their inability to imagine defeat. The water dwellers have infected their computer systems, Linda announced with satisfaction. They've been posing as maintenance programs for weeks, spreading through the network like a digital virus. On our signal, they'll turn the station's own systems against it. The Bird People scout ships returned from their final recon mission, confirming that the Hunter fleet was arranged exactly as predicted. Their formations hadn't changed in 10,000 years, why would they? No one had ever beaten them in a major battle. All ships report ready, Mike said, his hand hovering over the weapons console. The freed races are asking for a final word from humanity before we begin. Tom stood on the bridge of the flagship, Earth's Victory, watching as the final battle groups moved into position. Last report from our spies, Linda said, her voice tense with excitement. The Hunters have gathered 90% of their remaining fleet at the Grand Harbor. They're preparing for what they think will be their final push to crush us. Mike checked the weapons readouts one last time. Every ship in the Allied fleet had been upgraded with a mixture of technologies from all the freed races. The Blue Star People's enhanced engines, the Crystal Mine's improved targeting systems, and humanity's shield-breaking weapons had created warships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Rock Warriors' tunneling teams are in position, Robert reported from his fighter command station. They've spent the last month planting surprises throughout the Grand Harbor's maintenance tunnels. The Hunters never thought anyone could survive their security systems, but they never met creatures who spent their lives fighting in caves. Tom looked at the tactical display showing their battle plan. It was the biggest gamble in human history, striking directly at the heart of the Hunters' power. But like all their previous victories, it relied on the Hunters' greatest weakness, their inability to imagine defeat. The water dwellers have infected their computer systems, Linda announced with satisfaction. They've been posing as maintenance programs for weeks, spreading through the network like a digital virus. On our signal, they'll turn the station's own systems against it. The Bird People scout ships returned from their final recon mission, confirming that the Hunter fleet was arranged exactly as predicted. Their formations hadn't changed in 10,000 years, why would they? No one had ever beaten them in a major battle. All ships report ready, Mike said, his hand hovering over the weapons console. The freed races are asking for a final word from humanity before we begin. Tom stood and activated the fleet-wide communication system. His voice would reach every ship, every fighter, every warrior who had joined humanity's crusade against their ancient oppressors. For 10,000 years, the Hunters ruled through fear, he began. They believed their technology made them gods. They thought their power made them invincible. They never understood that their greatest weakness was their own success. The Allied fleet hung silent in space, listening to the words that would launch their final battle for freedom. Each of you knows the pain of Hunter oppression. Each of you has lost family, friends, and worlds to their cruelty. But today, we are no longer victims. Today, we are no longer prey. Today, we show the galaxy why humanity never bowed to their power, because we know that no enemy is invincible, no power is absolute, and no tyrant can stand against the united will of those who fight for freedom. Across the fleet, engines began powering up. Fighter pilots climbed into their cockpits. Gunners manned their stations. 20 species, once enemies or strangers to each other, now united in common cause. The Hunters thought they were teaching the galaxy to fear them. Instead, they taught us all how to hate them. And today, that hate becomes the fire that burns their empire to ash. Today, we show them why you should never push desperate people too far. Because eventually, those people learn to push back. Linda's console lit up with signals from across the fleet. Every ship was reporting ready for battle. Every warrior was prepared to risk everything for this one chance at complete victory. They call us primitives. They call us prey. They call us weak. Today, we show them what primitives can do. Today, we show them what happens when prey learns to hunt. Today, we show them what real strength looks like. The final countdown began. Across the fleet, weapons powered up and shields reached maximum strength. The greatest space battle in galactic history was about to begin. For Earth. For freedom. For every race that has ever suffered under their rule. Today, the hunters become the hunted. The battle for the Grand Harbor began with a sight the hunters never expected to see, their own defensive guns turning against them. The water dwellers' computer virus activated first, throwing the massive space station into chaos as its automated weapons started firing at hunter ships. First wave, launch. Tom commanded. Robert led the fighter squadrons in, their ships dancing through the storm of friendly fire from the station. The hunter fleet scrambled to respond, their perfect formations breaking apart as they tried to avoid their own defense systems. Rock warriors, begin Operation Earthquake, Linda transmitted. Deep inside the station's maintenance tunnels, explosive charges planted over the past month detonated in sequence. The mighty station shuddered as critical systems failed one after another. They're trying to restart their systems, Mike reported, watching the hunter ships attempting to regain control. But the Blue Star people's sabotage is working. Every backup system they activate is infected with our virus. The hunter fleet finally began to respond, but they faced an enemy unlike any they had fought before. Human battle tactics, combined with the unique abilities of 20 different species, created chaos their rigid military doctrine couldn't handle. Bird People Squadrons, Attack Pattern Delta. Robert's voice rang through the command channel. The swift alien ships dove through hunter formations, their enhanced weapons slicing through shields that had never been updated to handle multiple types of energy attacks. The hunters' mighty capital ships found themselves under attack from all sides. Crystal mine technology let allied ships predict their firing patterns. Rock warrior boarding parties cut through their hulls. Each species contributed their strength, turning 10,000 years of hunter oppression into powerful weapons against their former masters. Their admiral is calling for surrender. Linda announced, intercepting hunter communications. They don't know how. They've never surrendered before. They don't have protocols for it. Tom watched as the mighty hunter fleet began to crumble. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia were being destroyed or captured by the very species they had once hunted. The greatest space battle in history was becoming the greatest victory. Main reactor breach detected in the Grand Harbor, Mike reported. The Rock Warriors' charges hit their mark. The whole station is going critical. All ships, begin final attack pattern, Tom ordered. The Allied fleet moved as one, their formation designed by human tacticians and enhanced by the knowledge of 20 species. The hunters wanted us all to fear them. Let's show them what real fear looks like. The combined fleet's weapons fired simultaneously, their energy weapons enhanced by Blue Star engineering, guided by crystal mine targeting, and powered by human determination. The hunter fleet's remaining shields, still using the same technology that had failed them on Earth, collapsed under the assault. Their command ship is destroyed, Linda called out. The hunter fleet is in full retreat, no, they're surrendering. It's over. We've won. The Grand Harbor, symbol of hunter dominance for 10,000 years, exploded in a blast that lit up the sector. As the light faded, the remaining hunter ships powered down their weapons. The unbeatable predators had finally met a force they couldn't overcome, the combined strength of their former prey. Send word to all sectors, Tom commanded, his voice carrying the weight of victory. The hunter empire is finished. Let every enslaved world know, they're free. And let them know it was the unity of all our peoples that made this possible. The Allied fleet began rescue operations, securing Hunter survivors and freeing the last slaves from the station's remains. Ships bearing the flags of 20 different species worked together, turning their victory into a promise for the future. The galaxy will need leadership going forward, Linda said, looking at the tactical display showing former Hunter space. Someone to help rebuild, to ensure peace. Tom smiled, watching ships from different species working side by side. That's why we formed the Alliance. Not just to fight the Hunters, but to build something better. A galaxy where no species tries to rule the others. Where we all work together, using our different strengths to help each other grow. As the Allied fleet secured their victory, news spread across the galaxy. The age of the Hunters was over. A new era was beginning, one built not on fear and domination, but on cooperation and mutual respect. Humanity had not only led the galaxy to victory, they had shown them a better way forward. The stars belonged to everyone now, and the only hunting that remained was the hunt for a brighter future.